It's happening. Charania just reported that the Miami Heat are officially open to trade discussions involving Jimmy Butler. After years of being part of the heart and soul of the Heat, Miami are now willing to listen to offers, and if the right deal comes along, they could move on from their star forward. What's even more intriguing is how Butler's agent has reportedly indicated a short list of teams that he'd be open to joining. His top priority is landing on a legitimate title contender. Among the teams on his radar are two of the Texas franchises, his hometown Houston Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks. And the other is the Golden State Warriors, a franchise he's been linked to in trade rumors for many years now. But how realistic are these potential moves? How would Butler fit? What role would he play? And what would each team have to give up to make a deal happen? In this video, we're breaking down each trade scenario, evaluating the fit, and grading the potential deals. Let's start with what I believe to be the most likely landing spot for Jimmy Butler, the Golden State Warriors. According to league sources, the Warriors are actively looking to add another star, a playmaker and scorer, to complement Steph Curry and Draymond Green. They pursued Lauri Markkanen and Paul George over the offseason, but came up short. Now with the trade deadline approaching, Golden State is expected to stay aggressive. A key development just happened last Friday, when Curry, Green, and head coach Steve Kerr discussed Jonathan Kuminga's emerging role. Kerr announced that Green would accept a bench role so Kuminga could start at power forward, a significant vote in confidence in the fourth year forward. There's no doubt that rival teams are watching Kuminga very closely, knowing he'll be a restricted free agent this summer. His potential is undeniable. In the games where he played more than 30 minutes, he's averaged 20 points on 54% shooting and 40% from three. Just in the past week, Kuminga dropped 33 on the Rockets and followed it up with a 20.7 rebound, 3-block, 2-steal effort against Minnesota. So this is what it would take to get Butler to the Bay Area. The Warriors would receive Jimmy Butler, Josh Richardson, Alec Burks, and Thomas Bryant, but they would have to send out Andrew Wiggins, DeAnthony Melton, Gary Payton II, Jonathan Kuminga, a 2025 first rounder, and a 2027 first round pick. Golden State has been heavily reliant on Stephen Curry for offensive production. Over the past two seasons, no other Warrior has averaged more than 18 points per game. This has made them pretty predictable in clutch time situations, with Steph often facing double teams late in games. Enter Jimmy Butler, a proven closer with a track record of clutch performances. After a slow start to the season, Butler returned to form, averaging 19 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.8 assists per game. He's still one of the best at creating his own shots, bullying defenders in the mid-range, and drawing fouls. Butler would instantly diversify the Warriors' offense by giving them a secondary go-to scorer who can create off the dribble and make plays for others. His ability to attack the basket, post up, and facilitate would relieve pressure off Curry while making the Warriors significantly tougher to guard in crunch time. Defensively, Butler remains a tenacious presence, especially in high-pressure moments. Of the three landing spots mentioned, the Golden State Warriors seem to be the best fit for Jimmy Butler in my opinion. He'd seamlessly slot into that small forward role, essentially upgrading what Andrew Wiggins was providing, but at a much higher level. His arrival would allow Draymond Green to return to the starting lineup, maximizing the Warriors' defense and playmaking potential. Defensively, Butler's presence wouldn't disrupt the Warriors' already impressive defense, currently ranked 4th in the NBA, holding teams to just 108 points per night. His two-way ability would enhance the defensive intensity while adding a clutch scoring option. But in the deal, Jimmy Butler's not the only valuable piece coming to Golden State. They're still getting back Josh Richardson, Alec Burks, and Thomas Bryant, who are all solid role players who could help Golden State maintain some level of depth even after giving up key pieces like Kuminga. Losing Jonathan Kuminga would be a tough pill for Warriors fans to swallow, considering his undeniable potential. However, the reality is that Stephen Curry is much closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning of it. Golden State's championship window is closing, and Kuminga's timeline likely does not align with Curry's remaining prime years. In the end, going all in on Butler could be the Warriors' best chance at one last title run. His playoff experience and clutch time performances might be the difference between a deep playoff run and another early exit. To give this deal a grade, I would give it a solid A for Golden State. State, and a B+ for Miami. Miami bring in Jonathan Kuminga, who much better fits their timeline as they retool around Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, as the Heat look to build a contender for the future, while Golden State go all in on one last push. Now let's talk about why Jimmy Butler to the Dallas Mavericks is complicated. The Dallas Mavericks revamped their roster last season, adding Klay Thompson, Quentin Grimes, and Najee Marshall. While Thompson's production has been inconsistent, Grimes and Marshall have provided valuable contributions on both ends of the floor. Meanwhile, Kyrie Irving is flirting with a rare 50-40-90 season, and Luka Doncic has returned to MVP form after overcoming a wrist injury. The Mavericks already look like a title contender after reaching the NBA Finals last season. In fact, they might not make any major moves at the deadline at all. However, when a star like Jimmy Butler becomes available and is reported to be interested in your team, you have to at least consider it. To get him, Dallas would likely have to sacrifice much of the bench depth that they worked hard to build in the first place. While Butler is a proven star, a top-heavy roster without depth can struggle in the playoffs, especially in a tough Western Conference. The Mavericks are already built to contend, but is adding Butler worth getting rid of the supporting cast? The Mavericks' depth is exactly what's made them elite so far this season, and coughing up multiple impactful players for an aging Jimmy Butler who's on the last year of his deal just doesn't seem like the right call to me. Then when you look at the fit of Butler on this team, it gets even worse. Jimmy typically likes to have the ball in early shot clock situations so he can read and react to the defense. However, how often do you think he's going to get that opportunity when he's playing alongside Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving? The answer, not very often, as Jimmy would likely find most of his offense with a couple of seconds left on a shot clock, which is just not his game as he's not a high-level shooter. For this reason, I'm not even going to show you a mock trade because I just hate the idea of Jimmy Butler going to Dallas. If the Mavs make this deal, I would be quick to grade it an F, as it's the depth that's currently making them such a good team. Now, let's talk about the Houston Rockets. I covered how well they've been playing in a previous video where I also mentioned this potential trade for Jimmy Butler. However, many viewers pushed back, arguing that Houston is still building for the future and that giving up a young star like Jalen Green for Butler would be a big mistake. This debate really comes down to two perspectives: win now versus keep building. On one hand, the Rockets are currently the 3 seed in the Western Conference and are playing an elite team defense. While Butler isn't a great 3-point shooter, his offensive versatility and defensive toughness would perfectly align with head coach Ime Udoka's system, which is built around effort and intensity. Adding Butler could push Houston into serious title contention, but on the other hand, going all in might be premature. The Rockets have promising young talent that's still developing. While Amen Thompson should be untouchable in any trade talks, it's possible that players like Tari Eason or Jabari Smith Jr. might need to be included to make a deal work. Tari Eason has already proved himself to be an elite defensive force, while Jabari Smith Jr. has shown flashes of potential, but is currently struggling, averaging a career-low 11.5 points per game on just 43% shooting. If Houston are committed to building around Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and the promising second-year forward Amen Thompson, partnering with Jabari Smith Jr. might make sense in a deal for Jimmy Butler. To complete the trade, Houston would include veterans like Steven Adams, Jeff Green, and Dillon Brooks. The question is whether the Rockets see Butler as the right fit to push them into contention now. Adding Butler would strengthen their already elite second-ranked defense and give them a reliable offensive closer in tight games. However, with Butler's age and Houston's still developing young core, the Rockets must decide if trading for an aging all-star is worth sacrificing future potential. For me, the more I've thought about it, the more I just want to see Houston keep it all together for at least a couple more seasons before they go all in for an all-star. When the time is right, I'd like to see the Rockets sign somebody who's younger than 35 so they can get a longer stretch where the title window is open with this core. Overall, it's a tough decision because his fit would work with the team. However, you would not want to trade away the wrong guy and completely derail your rebuild. So to grade this deal, if we're just looking at it at face value without considering any part of the rebuild, I would honestly give this trade close to an A for the Rockets. However, when we're considering the rebuild, I just think it's a little bit too early to go all in on Jimmy Butler right at this moment. So which team would you like to see Jimmy Butler land in the most out of these 3 teams? For me, it's definitely Golden State, but that's just my take. Let me know your thoughts on these 3 destinations for Jimmy Butler in the comments section below.